This is Michael Pratt. Today I'd like to share some thoughts about Connie Bruck's absorbing 1994 business biography, Master of the Game, Steve Ross and the Creation of Time Warner. More than 2 decades after its publication, Bruck's biography of Ross, the creator of Time Warner, remains fascinating, instructive, and eminently worth reading. Bruck, a longtime staff writer at The New Yorker, found a compelling subject in Steve Ross, 1927 to 1992, a deal-maker whose improbable career cries out for novelistic or cinematic treatment. Ross's career arc has a pleasingly comic improbability. Born into a precariously middle-class Jewish family in Brooklyn shortly before the onset of the Great Depression, he grew into a driven, ambitious young man with extraordinary gifts of persuasion and a compulsive need to win others' admiration. After an abortive start in the garment industry, he joined his father-in-law's funeral parlor company and became a world-class funeral director, romancing, almost seducing, bereaved families with his attentiveness and pitch-perfect solicitude. When the father-in-law bought a small rental car company toward the end of the 1950s, Ross took charge and oversaw the merger of the rental car company and the funeral parlor company with a mafia-connected parking lot chain. This connection would bring him perilously close to a federal indictment in the mid-1980s. After taking this bizarre amalgamation public in 1962, he launched on a series of ever larger and more ambitious acquisitions. By 1969, the former funeral director had acquired first a talent agency, then Warner Brothers, with its fabled movie studios and massively successful recording labels. Think Atlantic Records. In 1989, he engineered a merger with Time Inc., creating what was then the largest entertainment company in the world. Time executives, who imagined that they had acquired Warner, because technically they had, found themselves sidelined by Ross, who retained near absolute control of the new company. In Bruck's telling, Ross emerges as a study in contrasts. An unintrospective, emotionally distant man with little time for his own children, he played the part of a warm and caring father or brother figure for entertainment industry figures such as Steven Spielberg, Quincy Jones, Clint Eastwood, and Barbra Streisand. He took care to leaven his boards with people like the opera singer Beverly Sills, who neither knew nor cared much about business, but was grateful to him for his use of company funds to support the opera. A benevolent despot who made short work of prospective opponents and would-be successors, he nevertheless granted subordinates a high degree of creative autonomy and supported them when they took risks. When one of his record company executives told him that he was, quote, thinking of expanding into a new area of music, but wondered whether he should since he might lose $10 million, Ross responded, "It's your company. If you don't think you can handle being $10 million in a hole, don't do it. But it's your company." It's impossible to do justice to the richness of Bruck's account of Ross's agitated, event-filled life within the scope of a brief review. Let it suffice to say that she vividly conveys both his powerful charisma and the fundamental opacity that led many of his ostensibly closest friends, and even his own children, to conclude that, in the end, no one ever really knew this highly social man. Aside from its considerable appeal as a piece of storytelling, are there any good reasons why business people might want to invest the time necessary to read this book? I think that there are. First, Ross always thought big, even when his principal occupation was selling caskets. It's not at all clear that he initially intended to build a media company, but his high ambition and his determination to expand by means of acquisition put him in the position to realize his dreams once he figured out what they were. Second, he dedicated vast amounts of effort to imagining plausible future business opportunities rather than acting as if the world were static, turning Warner Communications into a leader in cable. Finally, he earned the loyalty of subordinates by granting them a high degree of creative autonomy. Together with his willingness to share the corporate spoils with peers and docile board members, this made it very difficult for would-be successors to displace him. Master of the Game is itself a thrilling and, shall I say it, masterful performance by one of the outstanding business writers of recent decades. You will not regret giving it a try.